The Freeway Phantom. 6 young black women were kidnapped, raped, and strangled to death in 1971 and 1972 in the Washington, D.C. area. The victims were from 10 to 18 years old. Robert Askins was suspected of the crimes, but never charged. He died in prison, where he was incarcerated for unrelated crimes. He denied his role in the killings. Bible John. 3 women were murdered in Scotland during 1968 and 1969 after attending the Barrowlands Ballroom. The investigation pointed toward convicted serial killer Peter Tobin, who killed women in the same area. However, he was never tried for the crimes. Doodler. The Doodler is likely responsible for the murder of at least 14 gay men in San Francisco. The murders occurred between 1974 and 1975. The killer met his victims in nightclubs and other gay hotspots. A few victims survived, but they have since left the state. More Doodler 13 of 28 unsolved murders that should be featured on Serial Season 2 3 of 11 active cold cases you should Google, even though you probably don't want to. 14 of 21, the most famous unsolved murders in the U.S. Servant Girl Annihilator. In 1884 and 1885, the killer would attack women in their beds before dragging them away to kill them outside. The murders mysteriously ended when extra police were hired for the investigation. More 11 of 15 the most terrifying serial killers, who were never caught. 9 of 12 creepy unsolved mysteries from Texas. 2 of 14 horrifying stories of real-life axe murderers. The Cleveland Torso Murderer. The Cleveland Torso Murderer killed at least 12 people and left their bodies dismembered throughout Ohio. The crimes took place throughout the 30s. Many of the victims were so badly cut up that they couldn't be identified. The Babysitter. The Babysitter, sometimes known as the Oakland County child killer, murdered at least 4 children in the 1970s. 2 boys and 2 girls were kidnapped, and their bodies were left throughout Oakland County, Michigan. The Axeman. The Axeman of New Orleans was an active serial killer from 1917 to 1919, who brutally attacked 12 men and women with an axe. The Axeman famously sent letters to the newspapers claiming he would spare any house that played jazz music loudly. Or the Axeman of New Orleans. 6 of 15 the most terrifying serial killers, who were never caught. 7 of 20 highly disturbing letters from serial killers. 1 of 14 horrifying stories of real-life axe murderers. Jack the Ripper. In 1888, at least 5 sex workers in London were murdered by an unknown serial killer. Much of the information known about the killer known as Jack the Ripper is based on rumors and several letters from the alleged killer that appeared in London newspapers. It was widely believed that the Ripper was likely a doctor or a butcher due to the precision of the mutilations. More Jack the Ripper. 78 of 876, the greatest movie villains of all time. 1470 of 2443, the most influential people of all time. 1 of 1717 historical mysteries people would really like answers to. The Atlanta Ripper. In 1911, Around 20 black women were brutally murdered by an unknown killer in Atlanta. Although several suspects were arrested, no one was ever charged with the crimes. The Moonlight Murderer. In 1946, 8 people were attacked by an unknown killer that was sometimes dubbed the Phantom Killer. The town of Texarkana lived in terror for months as couples were brutally attacked. Throughout the history of the case, almost 400 people were arrested on suspicion of being the Moonlight Murderer. More Phantom Killer 7 of 15, the most terrifying serial killers, who were never caught. 1 of 17, the most notorious serial killers from Texas. 13 of 21, the most famous unsolved murders in the U.S. Zodiac Killer. As one of the most notorious serial killers of all time, the Zodiac Killer made a name for himself as he killed several people in the San Francisco Bay Area and taunted local newspapers with letters about his crimes. While multiple suspects have been named, the case currently remains unsolved and inactive. More Zodiac Killer scientists recreated the Zodiac Killer's mind, and it'll write poetry with you. 5 of 17 historical mysteries people would really like answers to. 26 of 61, the scariest serial killers in history. Charlie Chop Off. In a terrifying period between 1972 and 1974, at least 5 black children were attacked and often murdered in Manhattan. No one was ever sentenced, but one suspect, Erno Soto, confessed to one of the murders. Unfortunately, he was considered unfit to stand trial and committed to a psychiatric hospital.
Hey guys, thank you so much for the support and likes and comments down below, and also thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to see you in the next video. Then take care, bye.